So welcome to all in the new session on maintenance and re-engineering. So today we will discuss about the maintenance and the re-engineering part. So first we will discuss about the maintenance one. So how to define software maintenance? So basically the software maintenance is a very broad activity. Includes error correction, enhancements of capabilities, deletion of obsolete capabilities and optimization. Next we discuss about the categories of maintenance. There are basically four categories of maintenance: corrective maintenance, adaptive maintenance, perfective maintenance and the preventive maintenance. If you look at this corrective maintenance, it basically refers to the modification initiated by the defects in the software. And in case of adaptive maintenance, it includes modifying the software to match changes in the ever-changing environment. If there is any requirement from the customer regarding the modification or the addition of new functionality, in that case we go for the adaptive maintenance. Next, the perfective maintenance. It means improving processing efficiency, or you can say the performance, or restructuring the software to improve the changeability, to improve its performance. This may include enhancement of existing system functionality, improvement in computational efficiency, etc. And the last category of the software maintenance is the preventive maintenance, or you can say re-engineering. If you look at this corrective maintenance, adaptive maintenance and perfective maintenance, so we changes, and these changes have long-term effects. So how we minimize these long-term effects, or these long-term efforts may lead to increase in the complexity of the software, and which reflects the writing structure. So the work is required to be done to maintain it or to reduce it if possible, and this particular work is known as a preventive maintenance. Now you look at this particular slide. It talks about the distribution of maintenance efforts, and you will be surprised to see that the 50% of the maintenance efforts go for the perfective maintenance, 25% for the adaptive maintenance, 21% for the corrective maintenance, and preventive maintenance is only 4% of the total distribution efforts. Now we'll discuss about the software maintenance process. Now the software maintenance process, it consists of 4 phases. The whole process is divided in 4 phases. First of all, we have to determine the objectives of the maintenance, and this objective of the maintenance will be decided based on the different categories of the maintenance that we have discussed about. So objective may be to correct program error, to add new functionality, to delete the existing one, or you can say delete any obsolete features, and for the optimization also. So after deciding the objectives of the maintenance, we move toward the first phase of software maintenance process. In this first phase, we look at the program understanding in terms of complexity, in terms of documentation and self-descriptiveness. So first we have the proper understanding of the program, then we move toward the second phase, and in the second phase we focus on about the maintenance proposal. So we generate a particular maintenance proposal, that how we will implement these objectives, how we fulfill these objectives. And then we move toward the third phase, that is account for the ripple effect. So here we look at if we make any changes, how it reflects to the other parts of the program. So here the focus is about the stability of the program. And then we move towards the last phase, that is a testing phase. The kind of testing that is done here is a regression testing, right? So we check the software and we ensure that the software behaves its intended function along with the additional functionality. So this is basically about the software maintenance program process. So if you look at this maintainability, so maintainability may be defined qualitatively as the ease with which software can be understood, corrected, adapted, or you can say enhanced. Then we have the software supportability. This implies satisfying any necessary need, you can say any kind of requirement, but with the provision of equipment, support infrastructure, additional software facilities, manpower, or any other resources that is required to maintain the software operational and capable of satisfying its functions. That is basically the software supportability. Now we discuss about the re-engineering. First of all, you look at the definition of this re-engineering. Re-engineering is the systematic transformation of an existing system into a new form to realize quality improvements in operation, functionality, capability of the system, or availability at the lower cost, schedule, or risk to the customer. Then we discuss about the system re-engineering. System re-engineering means restructuring or rewriting the part or all of the system without changing its functionality. And this re-engineering is applicable when some but not all subsystems of a larger system requires frequent maintenance. If there is a problem of frequent maintenance, it means the process is obsolete, and we have to implement the same functionality with the new technology. So re-engineering involves putting in the efforts to make it easier to maintain. So how we easy the process of maintenance? For that, there is a need to do system re-engineering. The re-engineered system may be restructured, and that should be re-documented. Now, why the re-engineering is required and why re-engineer? So there are basically two reasons for this. First, evolutionary reason, and second, that relates with the schedule and that relates with the cost. If you look at the evolutionary reason, if you see the code is becoming brittle and is difficult to update. Retain hardness functionality of the current system, right? So we have to look at the nowadays the concept of reusability is there, so we have to look at that also, right? And current system lacks desired functionality, so it might possible that re-engineering may be done to add some new functionality, new technology, right? Second is the time and money saving, so less cost than a new system, quicker to implement, and increased developer productivity. For example, easy to make changes and C++ than the COBOL. So when system changes are confined to one subsystem, the system needs to be re-engineered. Or in a case when hardware or software support becomes obsolete, in that case also we think for the re-engineering. So when tools to support restructuring are readily available, so we can plan and we can go for the re-engineering. So this re-engineering process occurs at two different levels. First, at the business level, and second at the software level. If you look at the business level, so the focus of re-engineering is on the business process with the intent of making changes to improve competitiveness in some areas of the business. And if you look at the software level, this process of re-engineering examines information system and the related application with the intent of restructuring or constructing them so that they exhibit higher quality. Now we'll discuss about the business process re-engineering. So there are a number of definitions that is relates with the business process re-engineering, but that was the one definition that was widely accepted, and that one published in Fortune magazine in 1993, and that is the search for the implementation of radical changes in business process to achieve breakthrough results. So this business process re-engineering concerned with redesigning business processes to make them more responsive and more efficient. And this often relies on the introduction of new computer system to support the revised processes. This process of Re-engineering may force software engineer of legacy computer system which is designed to support existing processes. So now let us discuss about the business process. Business process is basically a set of logically related tasks that are used to achieve a defined business outcomes. And this definition given by David in 90s. So overall business is segmented in the following manner: the business, then we have the business system, then the business we have the process, and then in that particular process we have the sub-process. So now let us have a look on the principles of business process re-engineering. Hammer in 19 suggests that a number of principles guide BPR activities when they begin at the top level, or you can say at the business level. And the first principle is to organize around outcomes, not the task. Have those who use the output of the process perform the processes. Allow those who need business output to control all the variables that allow them to get the output in a timely manner. One of the important principles in this business process re-engineering, that is incorporate information processing into the real work that produces the raw information. Treat geographically dispersed resources as though they were centralized. So look at the concept of virtual offices. And nowadays, if you look at this pandemic, this concept is widely used and accepted by the peoples. Link parallel activities instead of integrating their results. So when different constituencies perform work in parallel, obviously they will take less time. And it is essential to design a process that demand continuing communication and coordination among these parallel activities. Then only we have a benefit of this doing the parallel task. If there is no communication, then it becomes a problem. Put the decision point where the work is performed and build control into the process. Capture data at once at its sources. So data should be stored online so that once collected, it need never be re-entered, so that the same data can be used for the different analysis. Now we'll discuss about the business process re-engineering. In this business process re-engineering, there are several steps, and this starts from the business definition. Then we go for the process identification, and once the process is identified, then we have to look at the process evaluation. And after that, we have to look at the process specification and design. And after this specification and design, then there is a need of developing a prototyping. And once the prototyping is developed, then refinement and institution, the process will be start, and this will goes on. So if you look at the business definition, in this business definition, the business goals are identified within the context of 4 key drivers. And these key drivers are cost reduction, time reduction, quality improvement, and personal development and empowerment. So goals may be defined, or you can say specified, at the business level or for a specific component of the business. Now if you look at the process identification, the processes that are critical to achieving the goals defined in the process identification and define. They can be ranked for the importance by need for change, and is there any other way that is appropriate for re-engineering activity. Next we have the process evaluation as it's indicate. So whatever the process we have, that thoroughly needs to be analyzed and measured. The process tasks are identified and the cost and time consumed by the process tasks are noted, and the quality and performance problems are isolated. Next step in this business process re-engineering is the process specification and design. Once the process evaluation is completed, then we go for the specification and design, and based on the information obtained from during these first 3 BPR activities, use cases are prepared for each process that is to be redesigned. Then in the next step, we go for the prototyping. Here we develop a prototype model. A redesigned business process must be prototyped before fully integrated into business. And this particular activity is basically used to test the process so that refinements can be made easily. Next, we have the refinement and the instantiation. So based on the feedback from the prototype that we have developed in the last phase, the business process is refined and then instantiated with the business system. So this is what we discuss about the business process reengineering. Now we focus on software reengineering. So reengineering is basically, as we have discussed, the reorganizing and modifying the existing software system to make them more maintainable. That is basically the reengineering is, and that what we have studied in the couple of slides. And this comes under the maintenance. And type of maintenance we have already discussed about the corrective maintenance, about the adaptive maintenance, about the perfective maintenance. The perfective maintenance is also known as enhancement. And the preventive maintenance is basically the re-engineering. So now in the coming slides, we will focus on re-engineering. So look at this software re-engineering process model. Now in this software re-engineering process model, this model starts with the inventory analysis. After inventory analysis, we have the document restructuring. And after document restructuring, we will go for the reverse engineering, then code restructuring, then data restructuring, and then we move towards the forward engineering. This is basically the whole process, how this process works. So let us discuss about what we have in this inventory analysis. Now if you look at this inventory analysis, so look at the activities here, sorting active software applications by business criticality, longevity, current maintainability, and other local criteria. This inventory analysis helps to identify re-engineering candidates, that this particular component needs to be re-engineered, or you can say the set of components. This inventory analysis enables an organization to assess each application systematically with the intent of determining which are candidates for re-engineering. So based on the information we have in the inventory analysis, or based on the outcome of inventory analysis, we go for the document restructuring. So live with the weak documentation, that the trademarks of many legacy systems. So there is a need to update this documentation. Right? Fully rewrite the documentation for critical system, focusing on the essential minimum that is there. In document restructuring, we have to create a framework of documentation that is necessary for the long-term support of an application. Next, you can say a step in this software reengineering process model is a reverse engineering. That is basically the process of design discovery. In this reverse engineering, we have to analyze a program in an effort to create a representation of the program at some abstraction level higher than the source code. So for this reverse engineering, we have the reverse engineering tools, and they are basically used to extract data, architectural and procedural design information from an existing program. After this, you go for the code restructuring. So as its name indicate, here we have the source code is analyzed and violations of structured programming practices are noted and they are repaired. Revised code needs to be reviewed and tested. Internal code documentation is updated. And this basically code restructuring is performed to yield a design that produces the same function but with higher quality than the original program. After this code structuring, we go for the data restructuring. So this usually requires full reverse engineering. Current data architecture is resuscitated, data models are defined, and existing data structures are reviewed for quality. And the last step in this re-engineering process model is a forward engineering. This is sometimes called as a reclamation or renovation. It recovers design information from the existing source code and uses this design information to reconstitute the existing system to improve its overall quality of performance. And finally, this forward engineering reconstructs a program using modern software engineering practices and information learned during the reverse engineering. So basically, this reverse engineering is analyzing a software with a view to understand its design and specification. And this may be the part of re-engineering process. This may be used to specify system prior to its re-implementation. And in this reverse engineering, program understanding tools may be useful, like your browsers, cross-referencing generators, etc. So let's look at the definition of reverse engineering. So reverse engineering is the process of analyzing a subject system to identify the system components and their interrelationship, and then create representation of the system in another form or at a higher level of abstraction. This is simply you can say this reverse engineering have you can say three processes: extract, abstract, and present. Right? So it doesn't change the system, just we are redefining that particular system. So in reverse engineering, if you look at this information sources, so information sources that are available in reverse engineering or that are helpful in reverse engineering are the code, documents, database schema, and user interviews are there. Then the question arises how the knowledge is recovered. So in case of reverse engineering, the knowledge is recovered using business rules, control flow, classes and patterns, modules and dependencies, and architecture also help in recovering knowledge. Then abstraction level. This ideally want to be able to derive design information at the highest possible level. Then the completeness. This is a level of detail provided at a given abstraction level. And then look at the role of interactivity. This is a degree to which humans are integrated with automated reverse engineering tool. That is basically one of the important features of this reverse engineering process. Then directionality. So there are basically a one-way direction and two-way direction. If you look at the one-way, it means that software engineer doing the maintenance activity is given all information extracted from the source code. And if you look at the two-way directionality, it means the information is fed to the re-engineering tools that attempts to generate the old program. And then we have the extract abstraction, meaning to say a meaningful specification of processing performed is derived from old source code. Now we discuss about the forward engineering. That is strategies for moving forward. We can ignore, we can replace, we can rewrite, that is called turkey. Incremental, chicken little, and evolutionary, that is butterfly. So if you look at this ignore, so don't do anything, no other alternatives currently feasible. That is what we can do in the forward engineering. Replace, scrap all system in favor of an OTS. You can say the popular option that is there. Rewrite we can do, scrap all system and start coding from the scratch, that is cost is high and the risk is also high in this. If you look at this incremental, so develop a skeleton for the new system, incrementally phase out parts of the old system and replace the new one. Using gateways and wrappers we can use in this incremental. And then we have the evolutionary. In evolutionary, facing new features over time, new functionalities added bit by bit. Now we discuss about the forward engineering. So in forward engineering tools, making changes, we have the transformation systems, that is essentially search and replace. Some Y2K tools are there. We have some planning tools, McAfee Re-Engineer, that is available on McAfee.com. We have classify modules files on complexity scale, red, yellow and green. We have certain restructuring tools, that is C to C++, C++ to Java. So that is at the code level, simply follow the specification. So still not simple, semantic differences between the languages, inheritance issues, and there are many more issues. Now we have the economics of re-engineering. So the economics of re-engineering, first we have the cost of maintenance, and this is basically the cost of annual operation and the maintenance over specification application lifetime. Then we have the cost of re-engineering, that is basically predicted return on investment reduced by the cost of implementing changes and re-engineering risk factors. And in this economics of re-engineering, we have the cost benefit, that is the cost of re-engineering, you can say the cost of maintenance. This is basically about the maintenance and re-engineering. And I hope this lecture will help you to understand the concept of maintenance and re-engineering. Thank you very much.